Hello, my name is Marcel, and this is episode 2 of How I See It. This one's going to be sort of controversial. It's going to be about white privilege. And do we think it's real? More specifically, do I think it's real? I want to start by saying that I believe that white privilege is very, very real. Now, when this is all over, you may agree with me, you may not. Now, you may ask yourself, what is white privilege? Well, in my mind, it's the ability to be seen as innocent, good, and or intelligent, even when it's undeserved. I'll give you examples of things that white people have done that are, against the law, and some that are, show that they are law-abiding, but there would be a different result if they were a person of color or black person. So we'll call it white privilege. What it means is that when you get pulled over by an officer, you immediately get out of your car to talk with the officer, and you don't get shot or thrown to the ground. Now, I have a friend who does that all the time. He gets out of his car every single time he gets pulled over, and he gets out and he has to run over and talk to the officer. And I can't understand why he does that. I've talked to other police officers who have said, to me, that that's the first sign of aggression, and but he's a white dude, so he gets away with it. White privilege means that when you get pulled over by the police and you tell them that you have a gun on you, you get out of the car and tell the officer that it's in your waistband, and you reach down to lift up your shirt to show the gun, and you don't get shot. That's Sean Hannity of Fox News. He says he does this when he gets pulled over. Think about that for just a second. You tell an officer, hey, I have a gun. It's in my waistband. Here, let me show you. And you don't get shot? You don't get yelled to keep your hands where they are? Strange to me, but again, that's some of the things I consider white privilege. White privilege means you can be a 45-year-old woman dressed in full body armor. Julia Shields, Chattanooga, Tennessee. You can shoot at houses, people, and whatever else. Lead officers on a high-speed chase while pointing guns at cars that are passing. Get stopped, point said gun at officers, and be allowed to surrender. Let me say that again. Dressed in full body armor, shooting at houses, high-speed chase, and you're allowed to surrender. And I read a ton of comments about what she did. Never once called her a thug. Never once said that she should have been shot. And she probably should have been. But she wasn't. Good thing she didn't steal $5 worth of cigars, or, hey, we'd all be saying, got what's coming to her. And, again, where's Fox News on this one? Now, white privilege means that when you go on a cross-country crime spree, like in Licksfield, Kentucky, you get an article written about you and your girlfriend with the words Teen Sweethearts in the title. You also get the police saying that they need to surrender. Not that they better surrender, but they need to. Oh, by the way, the best part of the story is the boy is 18, the girl's 13. And I read 4 different articles on this. Not one person called him a potential pedophile. Not one person called them thugs and hoodlums. They were just 2 kids in love. They stole cars, they wrote bad checks, and they were believed to have guns on them. They were caught in Florida today. But imagine if they were black or or people of color. You think Fox News would have covered that just a little bit differently? Yeah, I tend to think so. And again, thank God they didn't steal $5 worth of cigars. Now, white privilege means that you can shoot a man in the movie theater, Curtis Reeves, age 71, because he didn't turn his cell phone off fast enough for you, be allowed to go to the police station and surrender, and no one has called him a thug. They called him a criminal, but no one's called him a thug, because only black people can be thugs, particularly black males. White privilege means you can kill 12 people in a movie theater. James Egan Holmes get caught at the scene of the murders, and I mean right after the murders, in his car with multiple guns in the car, and not get killed, but apprehended. Think about that. You just killed 12 people in the movie theater. The guy set off smoke grenades. Was caught at his car with weapons in the car and on him, but they took him alive. That $5 worth of cigars seems to be getting more and more valuable. Anyway, right privilege means you can walk into a family restaurant, Chipotle's, armed with an AR-15 and an AK, saying that you're exercising the right to open carry in Texas and not get shot. Good thing they weren't in a Walmart with a toy gun in the state Ohio that has open carry as well. John Crawford III was his name. White privilege means that in the same state of Ohio in 2012, you can walk into a gas station, openly carrying your weapon, get confronted by the police, no commands to get down, no drop your weapon, just get a stern talking to and be asked politely to provide ID, not do it, get arrested and released alive, and have the charges dropped, then sue the police for $3.6 million. John Crawford III, with a toy gun, got killed. White privilege means, again, in Ohio, which is open carry, I want to make sure that you understand that, a woman at a bus stop waiting to pick up her child was seen with a gun in full view. An officer came up and politely gave her advice and then tell her that he's an advocate of open carry. She picks up her kid and goes home. No panic, no drop, hands up where I can see them, because Ohio is open carry. John Crawford III was his name. White privilege means you can get confronted by the police, be ordered to get your hands on the car. Lance Tamio, 45 years old in San Diego, disobey that order by getting into your car, coming out of your car with a gun, wave it around with kids everywhere, get shot once in the leg, have the cops rush you, but let you lay there for 30 minutes. You get up, you're allowed to get up, walk to a tree for some shade, then have the police slowly move you in and take you to a hospital. John Crawford III was his name. White privilege means that you can get drunk, walk into a Walmart, grab BB guns off the shelf, load them, start shooting them, and then yell how you're going to shoot up the place. This happened in Idaho. You can even ask an employee if they want to join in the hilarity and the fun. Leave the store without being taken in, without getting killed. John Crawford III was his name. Let's not forget that. White privilege is when a tragedy happens, like the one in Paris, France on January 7th, 2015, where sadly 11 people were wounded and 5 were killed. It made worldwide news, as it should. The president talks about it, gives his thoughts and prayers to the families. But here's the twist. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, Boko Haram and his people kill, at first report, 200. Now they're saying possibly 2,000 Nigerians, and no one says a damn thing. No coverage from Fox. CNN did a little bit on it. Hardly any articles. I had to really dig to find it. But hey, they're just dead niggers. Who really cares, right? I mean, let's be honest. No one cares. White privilege means you can shoot a police chief 3 times and be allowed to go free after being questioned. The police chief was black. The shooter, Dallas Horton of Oklahoma, was not. He was considered a survivalist. It's a good thing Mr. Horton didn't have a toy gun. John Crawford III was his name. White privilege means you do not need a bag for the stuff that you just bought because you don't want people to steal it or think that you stole it. Now, that's something that my parents taught me when I was very young. Every time you go into the store and you buy something, you get a bag. I used to work for a corporation, and we ran a test one day at work to see who asked for a bag and who didn't. And it turned out to be 100% of the black folks who came in and bought stuff asked for a bag. Almost, I'm not mistaken, out of the 50 people, I think it was about 15% of white folks asked for a bag, because they know you're not going to think that they stole anything. I mean, come on, that's just silly. White privilege means you as a teenager can run to the car to be picked up by your parents and not get yelled at for running out of the mall to the car. Because you don't want people to think you were running because you stole something. That happened to me when I was about 14 years old. My dad came to pick me up. I took off out of the thing. I saw him. I wanted to hurry up and get in the car and get home. and he yelled at me for about 5-6 minutes saying you don't ever run out of a store because you don't want people to think you're running from something, and God forbid something actually did happen, they might think you did it. Price of being a black male. White privilege means you can have the same criminal background as me, get charged with the same crime, and have a 60% chance to get less jail time. This is the study done by the FBI. White privilege means you don't have to worry about the police, North Beach, Miami police, using your mugshot for target practice. You know, to help with the reflexes. See a black face, shoot. See a black face, shoot. Here's what I mean by that. In World War I, in a squad of 10 men, an average of 3 out of every 10 would not fire their weapon. It didn't matter how many months the soldiers, have been trained, months of combat training they had, and even if they were about to be overrun. According to Brigadier General Samuel Lyndman Atwood Marshall, he concluded in a series of articles and in his book, Men Against Fire, that this happened constantly. So they had to figure out a way to get the soldiers to shoot. So what they did starting in 1946 was they started to use pop-ups. Human faces, human targets. They pop up, you'd shoot. Pop up, you'd shoot. And after a while, it becomes a reaction. You don't think about it. You just pops up, you shoot. Pop up, you shoot. The same goes for the Miami PD and all the other police departments that use human faces, black faces, Asian faces, Mexican faces as target practice. It develops a reflex. You see that face, you shoot. You see that face, you shoot. You see that face, you shoot. And that's why I have a problem with it. Now, white privilege means that if you have a long beard and are running around burglarizing homes, you get a cute nickname like the Jesus Bandit, and you're not called a thug, but basically you're godlike. I'm not going to dive into why that one bothers me, but the Jesus Bandit, really a cute nickname for a burglar, someone who steals stuff, someone who's essentially a thug, who is a criminal, and give me a break. White privilege means that as a teenager, you get to beat up a guy, make him blind in one eye, and only do 45 minutes and 45 days in jail, become a Hollywood star, demand a pardon, even though he never apologized to the guy, Mark Wahlberg, just in case you guys don't know. And out of all the articles I read, about 10, 15 of them, he was never called a thug, just a rambunctious youth that deserves a second chance. A rambunctious youth that deserves a second chance. Blinded a guy. Now, it's worth noting that the guy he blinded forgave him. So I want to make sure that's on the record. John Crawford III was his name. White privilege means that your teenage son has a 21% chance, 21% less chance of being shot and killed by the police. Again, FBI stats. White privilege means you can be a House Minority Whip, Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana, not sign a bill apologizing for slavery, and also speak before a group funded by former Ku Klux Klan leader David Duke, and you still get to keep your job. And the media made not too big of a deal about it. As I want to say to Donald Trump, it's a good thing he had his birth certificate, right? Because if he didn't have that, but he might not be able to keep his job because birth certificate, as opposed to the Klan, we know which is worse, right? White privilege means that in an open carry state, once again, Ohio, you can be a 12-year-old little boy in the park and play with a toy gun and not get shot by the police. Tamir Rice. Ohio is open carry. I can't stress that enough. I could go on and on and on with examples of white privilege, but I think my point has been made. It exists, and it needs to go away. It's the only way this country can heal. It's the only way this country can truly move forward is when we call it down the middle. If you're the guys in Idaho and you're running around with a BB gun shooting up the place and the cops come in and shoot you, fantastic. Or they don't, fantastic. If you're Jordan Crawford III and they see you with a toy gun, they should talk to you instead of gunning you down. once we have that down the middle, I think we'll be fine. I think the country will grow. And you got to understand that my grandmother's 87 years old. And she knew her great-grandmother, who was a freed slave. People act like slavery has been gone for 300 years. It has not. It's been gone for 150 plus years. We still have people that have a direct connection to it. And they understand how far we've come, but they also understand how far we need to go to get to a place where, like Martin Luther King said, to be judged by the content of your character and not by the color of your skin. My name is Marcel, and that's how I see it. Next week, I'm going to do a study on the word nigga and why I think it's just dumb that everybody says it. Once again, I'm Marcel, and that's how I see it. See you next time.